Folks, let's try to find a seat. Let's get started. Can't hear me? You have to eat the mic? There we go. All right. Okay. Okay, folks, let's get started. If the candidates would please approach the dais. Okay, bars closing. Sorry. Not that kind of an event. Okay, if we can all take a seat, we're going to bring in some more chairs as well. Okay, so I want to thank our members for showing up tonight, and if there are non-members here, I hope you'll see the value of being members of the BPOA and join us. There's a membership desk in the back. So first I want to thank the board members for their hard work in pulling the forum together. Please stand as I call your names. Kelly Freeman in the back, my vice president. Linda Perto, our treasurer. Where's Linda? There she is in the back. Our secretary couldn't be here tonight, but Bob Victorin is our past president here. Where's Bob? Bill Petrie, Ned Whaler, Mike Owens, Scott Porton, and our newest board members, Guy Tedesco, Lynn Martinstein, and Chip Dixon. Please stand. These are some pretty hardworking folks, and I really appreciate their help. Finally, I'd like to thank all the candidates. They've all shown up. I thank them not only for showing up, but for running. This is a tough, tough grind to get elected, and it's even more work once they're elected, and I want to thank them for serving our community, whoever wins tonight. Last notice is please turn off your cell phones so we don't get disturbed. Okay, so first, let's talk about the rules. We actually have them. Okay, the candidates are seated by their commission seats, 1, 3, and 5. The mayor's is actually seat 5. They're seated in alphabetical order. So each candidate is going to have the opportunity to make an opening statement, which will be 60 seconds. And then each candidate will be asked 3 questions on an ongoing basis. So what we've decided to do is have 3 topics, and there'll be 3 questions for the first 2 topics, and then 1 question on the final topic. And the way we'll do this is that the person who's alphabetically first will answer the first question. Next round of questions, second candidate, and then the third candidate. So each seat will get 1 question on the first 2 topics, and then a final third question that they'll all answer. Okay. Okay, we've gone through that. Okay. There's no specific time for rebuttal, but each question that's going to be answered, each candidate will get 2 minutes. And then at the end, each candidate will have 3 minutes to tie up. They can use the time however they please. We have a timekeeper up front, Mike. There he is. So Mike will be giving every candidate a 30-second notice and then a stop sign. And we'll do what we can to make certain that that's what we do. Okay, so the first topic will be sustainability. And for seat 1, I guess that's Jim Chard, I'll ask this question. Whether hardscape or green, seawalls are one of the most important ways to address climate change on a local level. The city has been raising the seawalls it owns. What is the status of requiring private property owners to raise and maintain seawalls to prevent flooding? Do you believe additional steps need to be taken either through additional ordinances or enforcement action to make this happen more quickly?
Good evening. Thank you. I think the plan that has been implemented brought the seawalls up to a level that's supposed to last for another 25 years. So I don't think in those where they built the sea... You want us to stand up? All right. Well, thank you. How do I look? Just to continue, we have recently raised those seawalls, and I'm sure you've seen them in the Marina Historic District and Veterans Park. And as I recall, those are scheduled to last at least 25 years before we have to raise them any further. I do think that there's a lot of seawall that is on private property that people have to consider. How does that get paid for? And because the water will just flow down and come in at the lowest place possible.
Please.
Sorry, Jim. Yes, so I'm all about being proactive. Seawalls are very important, and Jim and I don't usually agree, but on this point we will agree on this, that even though we're good for at least 20 to 25 years, we still need to be proactive to see what we can do to protect the owners in their home. So it's very important. We shouldn't be reactive like we usually are right now. We need to be more proactive. Even though it's set to last 20, 25 years, let's take extra steps what we need to look into to make sure, thank you, to make sure that our homeowners aren't affected by it.
Sorry, I'm the tall candidate. Not bad for a kid from Syracuse. Seawalls are interesting. I have one. We live in Lake Ida, and I'm constantly out in the water repairing it. They work when they're built, but even on Lake Ida, you can see the issues where people have them and people don't have them. And I think seawalls are a great idea. We're definitely got issues with rising tide. We have to address it. We have to be proactive about it. But our solutions need to be very holistic, because as Jim said, and I happen to agree with him, if you build one and then you don't have two and then you build another one, the water's just going to slosh around. And I've had a chance to get into some of the low-lying areas and meet with the neighbors, and it's a real concern for us. But we have to come up with a holistic plan for it. Thank you.
I have to admit that I made a mistake. I had opening statements of 60 seconds. I jumped the gun on my own self. So if the candidates in seat one want to make an opening statement of 60 seconds.
As long as you're up, do you want to?
You're up there, Tom. I apologize.
This is Hal's first term, so we have to give him some space.
Just to break in on Jim, you know that statement, "This is not my first rodeo"? This is my first rodeo.
Good evening, I'm Jim Chart. And I'm delighted to see so many people that I recognize, because I too am a member of BPOA and have been for almost 10 years and worked with many of you on beach issues. A little bit about me: I have 2 master's degrees from Harvard. And I'm not sure how big a deal that is, but I did learn about city planning and how to run cities, and business management and how to run businesses. From there, I went and worked for the city of New York for 3 different mayors. I was the head of something called project management staff. We built all the high priority projects, like Yankee Stadium, for any of you Yankee fans. Also, I ran the largest super agency at the request of David Rockefeller, because the city was going down the tubes and they needed good management. So then I left it, came here about 20 years ago, and immediately started applying all of that information and experience in Delray. And that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years.
Thank you, Jim. So I'm Tennille DeCosti. You can't forget it, because you're ready? Muskrat Love, Captain and Tennille. So that's who I'm named after. So who am I? I am a Delray resident. I actually hid in this city because I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and Delray Beach saved my life. I actually hid here for almost a year with my 3 children. So I owe so much to Delray. I have 22 years working in government experience. Nobody sitting up here has that. And not only I used to work for the city of Delray Beach and save this city $1 million. I saved Boynton Beach 1.4 and city of Miramar 2.2. What does that do for our residents? Saves money on our taxes and everything else. I'm the only candidate with the government experience. Not only that, I have been endorsed by Palm Beach Post, the Teachers Union, very proud of our teachers, and also receiving a nomination, Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, for fighting for education and our teachers. So I'm Tennille DeCosti for seat 1.
Hello again. I'm Tom Markert, live in Lake Ida. I've been married to my wife for 40 years. We have four grown kids. We have 2 grandchildren and 2 grandchildren on the way. I've never run for political office. This is my first foray into this game. I've been a CEO most of my career. I started out with Procter & Gamble, then went to Citicorp. I spent 27 years with Nielsen, the television ratings and market research company, was president of Nielsen Canada, was CEO of Nielsen Australia, New Zealand. I also served as the chief marketing officer for Office Depot. That's what got us down to Florida. I was on the board of True Value, the hardware home improvement chain. I was on the board of State Auto Financial Corporation, which is a NASDAQ-listed company, insurance company. And I currently run a not-for-profit company called InfraGard. InfraGard was founded 27 years ago by the FBI. We work with them daily, and we help them share non-classified information to protect the American people and the American infrastructure. We started out mostly sharing IT-type information with cybersecurity, but now as the remit of the FBI has gotten wider, we share information on crimes against children, human trafficking, and we do a lot of work in the active shooter arena. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Working? All right. My name is Inez Barthélemy, and I am running for City Commission, seat 3. I am excited to be here tonight, and I would like to thank all the Board of Trustees, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedule to find out what is it that each one of us has to offer the city. My experience goes back to moving here in 1991, over 30 years. I attended high school here, Atlantic High School, graduated with a master's in social work from Barry University. I was the social service liaison for Senator Daphne Campbell, and I have continued my volunteerism here. I am a volunteer with the police department. Also, I sit on the education board for Delray Beach. It's great to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Julie Cassell. Thanks for coming. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to be here in front of you and speak. I'm a 19-year resident. I'm a mom, and I formerly served as your city commissioner, and I'm here tonight hoping to earn your vote again. And if I may quickly answer that question about the seawall, I only know this as a commissioner, and I think it's important that you know this. If you are on a private property and you have a seawall, what happens is once your water breaches your wall and impacts your neighbor, so in other words, if it breaches your wall and hits your yard, you're fine. Breaches your wall and hits your neighbor, a clock starts, and you have 1 year to put those repairs in order. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Good evening. My name is Nick Capola, and I am your candidate for Delray Beach Commission Seat 3. I am a first-time candidate. I am a retired construction electrician. I have been living in Delray Beach part-time 20 years, full-time 10 years. I currently serve as the chair of the city's Code Enforcement Board, a position I've held for 3 years. Similar to you, with BPOA, I am also the vice president and treasurer of the Sherwood Park Civic Association, which is an all-volunteer association. And speaking with you folks, it actually helps me the challenges that we have to make membership or to keep membership. I really look forward to these conversations. I've spoken with many of you in this room to learn more about the beach property and the important things and important issues. So I do look forward to your questions, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Well, hello, everybody. Normally, I step in front of the BPOA group and I say, well, you know me, I'm Ryan. But I see a lot of new faces here, which is a great thing. And the reason I say that, hey, you know me, is because I've been working with the BPOA for 12 years in official capacity. 6 years on the Downtown Development Authority Board, and 6 years as your city commissioner. I currently serve as your vice mayor. And I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you. We don't just go into the communities and go into neighborhoods and just serve you and check off lists. We do it together. We work through these things together. And last night was the first reading of the oversized, well, you guys call it the oversized home ordinance change, where we're going to be restricting some of the residential buildings here on the Barrier Island. And thank you. And I was very proud to sponsor that, and thank you so much for all the collaborative work we did together on that and many other projects. Thank you.
Hello? Yes? Hello. I'm Tom Carney. I'm very excited to be here today in front of the BPOA. I'm actually a former neighbor, having spent many, many years living on Vista Del Mar Drive with my wife of 47 years, Lucy, who, by the way, was the secretary of the BPOA 2002, 2003, 2004, in that range. And I'm still, by the way, a member of the BPOA. But I'm a big supporter of neighborhoods. I think the strength of our neighborhoods is really the strength in Delray. I received endorsements from the Palm Beach Post and the Sun Sentinel, and I've been involved with things on the beach for literally the entire time that I've been in Delray. I'm very proud of the service that I've done to Delray in the past, and I'm very glad that finally this initiative, which started 3 years ago, which the Commission first read last night, is going to be passed because it is so necessary. I was one of the first proponents of the anti-mansionization stuff back in 2010 and 2011. So this is so good that we're finally going to be able to address this issue in Delray. I'm running because I think Delray's going in the wrong direction. Oh, I'm stopping.
I'd like to clarify. Do we have how many minutes for the introduction? 60 seconds. How many for the answer to the question? Two. Oh, great. Okay, I'm ready. Good evening. I'm Shirley Johnson. Okay, I didn't want to have the number one. Okay. Good evening. I'm Shirley Irvin Johnson, and I'm here trying to serve as your next mayor of the city of Delray Beach. I don't want to take very much time. For those of you who don't know me, I'd like to refer you to my campaign card. But for those who do or not, I'm a 42-year cumulative resident of the city of Delray Beach. I was here from the age of 6 years old. I left, I came back. It was a little too cold up there in Washington, the Washington metro area. So everything's here. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, 2 children, 3 grandchildren, 2 great-grands. I know I don't look it. They started early. 6 years as your city commissioner. I had to wait a year before I could decide what I was going to do. I could not come back. There's so much left to do. Now, I can start about the answer for the question. I don't have to. Okay, I should have put it in there. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go to the second question on sustainability for seat number 3. And the question is, I guess for Julie first. No, Denise first. Okay. It's on beach erosion. Many of our neighbors on the Barrier Island have noticed a disturbing trend with the beach itself. The city has done a commendable job in building up our dunes to protect residents and businesses. But the dunes are steadily moving east while the ocean is steadily moving west, and so as a result, the beach is continuing to get narrower. We understand that for various reasons, we were not scheduled to get beach replenishment until 2029. It's conceivable that much of the beach may not be here by 2029. We also understand the city is petitioning the state and feds to accelerate that schedule so beach replenishment happens in 2026. What is your position on beach replenishment? And if you are in favor of this, what will you do to ensure that our beach is maintained and protected against the ravages of climate change?
Thank you so much. Definitely, we need to make sure that we do everything that we can to protect the residents and also to ensure that we take care of our beaches. So definitely 2029 is way too long to wait. God knows what could happen in the next year. So we need to put in place the necessary steps and find the reserve, whatever that's needed, the funding to make sure that we resolve that issue. Like personally, each one of us, in your personal life, you have to set aside funds to take care of things like, let's say, if it's an emergency fund. So we need to find the necessary funding to make sure we address that issue and not wait that long. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a proponent. Resident called me when I was serving and asked me to come look at the beach. They live slightly to the south in a private residential development on the water, and they were not benefiting from beach renourishment, and the beach was gone. You stepped down 6 feet and there was no beach. So in our capital improvement budget, we have $100,000 allotted this year to do surveys offshore and surveys onshore. Those surveys will tell us where we are. And I think what will happen is once we assess the surveys, we will probably move up the beach renourishment to sooner. I think that's a flexible date. I'm not that concerned about it, and I'm a strong supporter of beach renourishment.
Absolutely. Without our beaches, we are not Delray Beach. So whatever we need to do, not only to protect our beaches, but to expedite, because all it's going to take is one storm. We could actually do beach replenishment. One hurricane could wipe out all that work. We need to be as proactive as possible rather than reactive, because without our beaches, we are nothing. So absolutely, whatever it would take, if there's got to be a way that we could accelerate that 2029. Reaching out to the federal government, working with the county as an intermediary to help us to really put the sense of urgency on that. So yes, I do support it.
Okay, the third and final question on sustainability is on the urban forest. A few years back, in addition to committing to plant 10,000 trees throughout the city, Delray Beach contracted for an urban forest management plan to identify the health of each city tree and to create a multi-year plan to improve and maintain the health of our forest. A preliminary review of the state of the Barrier Islands urban forest indicates that while the palm trees are in acceptable condition, the other trees in the Barrier Island, which provide more shade and capture more carbon, are in poor or fair condition. Do you know what progress we've achieved? Are we on track with the plan? And do you believe that this is a program worthy of your continued support going forward?
So I'll start by saying that I'm very much in support. I was one of the commissioners who championed the 10,000 trees in what we were hoping for 5 years. We've planted about 6,000 of those trees. We've also completed a canopy study, which was necessary before we put any of these new regulations in place. And now we're trying to put new ordinances in place that are as strict as possible to protect some of our legacy trees. But what you have to understand is that property rights are very strong in the United States, in our country, and in our state. And guess what? The tree is your property at the end of the day. So when it's on private property, it's a little bit harder to protect that tree than when it's on our property. So we have the biggest penalty in the county as far as developers when they cut down a tree. It's very, very expensive, goes into our tree fund, and I've been advocating for those tree funds to be used to bring in more legacy trees, not just the quantity, but quality over quantity. And then also when, as private citizens, we cut down one of those legacy trees or a larger tree, we have to plant trees in replacement. That's all within reason, and we are trying to stretch that as much as we can, get as strict as we can, without obviously having the state come down on us. And I just recently got an update on our tree fund, where I have a healthy tree fund of about $300,000 with more coming in. So I think that is something that is absolutely achievable for us to do, and we have the funding for it as long as it stays in the tree fund, which I've been a huge advocate for, and a huge advocate for our, I have a whole 30 seconds left? Well, in that case, I'll give you an update on just a few things. On the seawall question, we had an applicant come forward that wanted us to reduce permits and to incentivize private buildings and private residents to put in new seawalls, and we're doing that. We're lowering the permit fee or even getting rid of the permit fee so that we incentivize seawalls. And Nick, remind me, what was yours again? Oh, we got an update last night from our federal lobbyist that everything's looking really good, and we have $7 million coming for beach renourishment.
Our trees are such a valuable resource. Back in 2012, I was the one who initiated, and we were able to get all those trees that you see planted along A1A, all the way from Casuarina to North Beach. And thank you. I have been such a big proponent of trees. I don't think we do enough to protect the trees that we have. It is indeed true that many trees are on private property, but I do think that we have ability through our code enforcement to ensure that people maintain their trees. We force them to maintain their lawns, make them cut it, we force them to do other things. There are things we can do if we want to be aggressive about saving our trees, because the canopies are so important to this city. We have far too often, we go to a construction site where you see the trees being removed. I'm not sure why we don't have some kind of a credit program whereby they could take the trees that are existing there and replant them somewhere else and give them some kind of a credit for this aspect. Nobody's tried it, but I think it would work, because there are a lot of trees that are otherwise good trees that aren't going to make it through a construction but could be relocated. I'm a big advocate of the greening programs that we have in Delray. So there are things we can do. And I think that I want to also touch on that. So I'm going to be a big proponent of saving as many trees and getting as many trees as we can, especially the canopy trees, and creating some regulations where we can cause people to really maintain their trees, just like we cause them to maintain their lawns and their shrubbery and things such as that, so that the trees have the ability to grow and provide the canopies that they want. I want to mention one thing about the beach reclamation. The last beach reclamation project took place in 2014. It was actually 2012 in a program that I was part of, and we were able to get it approved. We didn't have the federal funds there. So the city, knowing that the federal funds were eventually going to come, we preempted it, and we essentially put together a fund where the city paid for the renourishment early, knowing that we would get federal dollars to pay for it later. I would encourage the city to really seriously think about doing that now, because 2029 is too late, 2026 is too late. So I go down I walk the beach almost every day, and I tell you, it's got to be done now.
There were so many things I wanted to say in my intro, and I got a little off track. I'd like to thank you all for having us here tonight. I am the only candidate that has put the words to paper that I am the environmentalist candidate. I don't know, the others have talked about everything, budgets, development, which is a problem with our environment, because when the developers come in, they clear the lot, and there are maybe hundreds of trees, and they take them all down and put back a few little spindly, I call them spindly, palm trees. That's not the way we're going to protect our canopy. We've got so many issues with our environment, but I don't think we're paying very much attention or doing very much. We talk a good game, but we're not doing anything to prevent it. I am trying to somehow or another encourage everyone to stop using single-use plastic. Thank you. We sometimes don't have a choice when we go into the grocery stores. Before you can even unload your cart, they've started putting it into the plastic bags. So if you grab a bag and walk around with it, this yellow bag is to say no more plastic. I think we can do the same thing with that as we did with the opioid situation. Delray Beach, if you're not aware of it, was the instigator, the first place that the lawsuit originated. And then they joined it, and now it's a national thing. So I want to get off on that. Beach erosion. I voted for I'm sorry, there I go again.
Mike, you're doing a great job, Mike. Okay, the second topic is on quality of life, and the second candidate, alphabetically, will be the first one to answer for each seat. Okay, so for the first question for seat 1 is this. It's on residential demolition and construction. We understand that property owners need not be notified when demolition of a neighboring structure and the construction of a new building is to commence. We also understand that these activities can start as early as 7 a.m. during the work week, 8 o'clock on Saturdays, and can continue unabated until 6 p.m. The noise, dust, activity, and vibrations caused by these activities can damage abutting properties as well as negatively impact the owner's right to enjoy their property. Nuisance lawsuits by private citizens are expensive and time-consuming. Plus, by the time the case is resolved, the offending activity may no longer be happening. Do you support providing property owners the right to notice when construction and demolition occur? Should residents have greater rights than just simply notice? Should the hours of operation be modified? And if so, what would you propose?
So absolutely. Quality of life is so important. You live here. This is the village by the sea. You want to sleep until 12, 1 o'clock. You don't want to be waking up 5 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning from construction. It's a shame. It's horrible. You should have a right. I will do everything possible to make sure you are brought to the table. I think the city, unfortunately, and it's not all the commissioners up there, because we do have some amazing commissioners, that we don't bring the residents to the table prior to starting a new development or new construction, whatever it could be. So what I think is that we need to bring the residents to the table. If they're saying, hey, we have a new development going up and it's starting from here to here, what time will be feasible for you? I think we need to work with the residents. And the one thing about me, I have a perspective from different cities. I know what the city of Miramar does. I know what the city of Boynton does. In biggest, Miami-Dade County. So there's different ideas I can bring to the table as your commissioner if we just work with the residents who actually pay taxes here and actually love and want to keep the quality of life.
I agree with everything she just said. I can tell you in Lake Ida, where I live, we have a situation where we have a house that was knocked down 3 years ago, and it's still being worked on. And there's trucks in the neighborhood all day long. They're blocking the roads, they're blocking the streets. They're not being good neighbors to our neighbors. So I think some education needs to go on with the builders, and I do think communication is key. I think they should knock on the doors of the abutting houses and make sure that they're helping the neighbors continue with their life while this construction is going on. I think that's the right thing to do. I was at a commission meeting last night, and there's a project that started over on Lake Ida, and there's a school over there that can't function. Literally, they can't function because of the noise. The kids are scared. There's all kinds of dust. So I think our builders are going to have to be held to a tougher standard. We got to get the projects done right away. I don't think it's fair to start at 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't think that's fair. I think they should have a later start. And they got to figure out a way to be good neighbors for our neighbors, and I would make sure that we do that. Thank you.
Hal, if I may, I'd like to go back to those last two questions because I like to think that I am the environmentalist up here. I think we've all admitted to being tree huggers. I would like, and I think most of you are, I'd like to say I'm the king of tree huggers. I wrote the comprehensive plan, the master plan on trees 10 years ago. I've been involved with the Green Board. I'm a founding board member of Community Greening. And let me tell you, 10,000 trees is a drop in the bucket. That takes us from a 23% tree canopy to about a 28% canopy. We should have 40%. I also want to say with regard to the beaches, there are other answers than just digging up the sand and creating problems with the coral and the reefs, and that is to do man-made reefs, replant the coral. There's the technology out there where it grows very rapidly, and it can prevent those big waves from coming in, which cause all the flooding and damage. With regard to building, that's a tough one. I don't know, frankly, from a legal point of view, how much we can restrict builders. I don't know how much leeway they have as to when the materials arrive or when the weather impacts. I think that the notice to the community and neighbors is very important. I'm the chair of the Historic Preservation Board, and we always try to notify the neighbors of what is about to happen in their community. I would also say that from a Historic Preservation Board, we should be saving trees. Right now, we just save the man-made environment. We do nothing about the natural environment and what was here before we started building. So I think there's lots of ways to attack these problems that we can get that canopy, we can get the safety presented by trees, and we can protect our beaches and neighborhoods.
Okay, the quality of life issue, a question for seat 3. Leaf blowers.
We know that one.
Okay.
It is, it's true, it's true.
Okay, settle
Drives me
down.
crazy.
Cities throughout the United States are banning the use of gas-powered leaf blowers. These leaf blowers are extremely noisy, obviously, and contribute to climate change and air pollution. The city has been reluctant to act on this, but some of our neighboring cities have. Do you support banning gas-powered leaf blowers, and if so, how would you propose on doing so?
Thank you for that question. Quality of life is critically important. I worked on the comprehensive plan, and one of the things I noticed when we were replacing our old plan was that the old plan emphasized quality of life throughout, and the new plan really didn't. But it's critically important to the residents here, myself included. This question's difficult because Palm Beach tried to do this, and they actually advertised in their newspaper that they voted in an ordinance to implement battery-operated leaf blowers. However, if you read it closely, what it says is, in 2029, and only after we do a study to make sure, and we have another vote of our commission, and only after we make sure that there is new technology. And I think the biggest concern would be, I would agree, I was walking and knocking in this neighborhood, and all I heard was leaf blowers. It's remarkable. Between the construction, the dust, and the leaf blowers in the city, it's kind of frustrating. But what's the real possibility of doing this? It would need to be studied, because I think everyone in the room would agree that some of the people that do the lawns maybe don't have the capacity to go out and buy modern leaf blowers, and where would they charge them, and how would they get the batteries? So I would be willing to look into this. Palm Trail, they're very interested in this subject. I am as well. But when I follow it closely, it's not actually happening like we think. I'm sorry.
The leaf blowers, I agree. I'd actually like to see us, that way if we could stop the use of leaf blowers on Sundays. I actually want to go back to, I'm going to take advantage, go back to the construction, because that's my expertise. I was a contractor. I have negotiated contracts on specific builds, and I'll bring up one, the Shelley Netherlands, which was on Fifth Avenue. You are able to negotiate with your contractor for a start. So when these houses are proposed, you sit down with the developer or the contractor, who's ever working, and I need a 9 o'clock start or an 8 o'clock start. But that conversation starts with your neighbors. Reach out to your neighbors, and although there's the rule where it's sent out, it should be sent out even further. This is about communications, because I know it was mentioned. We communicate and have these conversations and come up with a fair solution. And that's what it comes down to. And when the contractor understands his parameters, I know firsthand, when I had lost 2 hours, it wasn't I didn't lose labor. I was able to apply that to something else, maybe getting material, doing quieter things. There are things that contractors can implement to really get rid of this problem. The leaf blowers, I do believe the technology, I have watched it, the battery capacity has increased, the cost is coming down. Anything we could do to impact our environment in a positive way, we should strive to make it happen. So I definitely support that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I would say that we start with education. We have to educate people to let them know why is it better for them to have the electric leaf blower instead of the gas. Once we start telling people about the health benefits, they will not worry about the cost, and they will do whatever it takes to make sure that they get the equipment that will benefit their health. So I would say it starts with education. I would educate, the residents, also each one teach one. So encourage the neighbors to make sure that they talk to their the neighbors to let them know, hey, this is the best. It's going to help with your health. So anything to improve your health, you will invest in, because your health is the most important. Thank you.
Okay, the final question on quality of life. deals with automotive noise. There are Florida statutes establishing limits on automotive noise and city ordinances regarding music and crowd noise. These statutes and our ordinances contain ways to measure unreasonable noise and punish this conduct. Barrier Island residents and the millions of visitors we have throughout the city are subjected to vehicles, cars, trucks, motorcycles, driving up and down our streets, blasting music and creating unnecessarily loud exhaust and engine noise. We believe the city has done little or nothing to curb this abuse of everyone's right to enjoy our community. Do you believe the city should more aggressively combat this conduct, and if so, how would you suggest doing this?
They enforce the ordinance. When I was on the commission back in 2012, we had the police go to the one end of Atlantic to the other end of Atlantic, and with their little guns, sound guns, and they would stop the people the first time and give them a warning. And guess what? After about 2 or 3 weeks, there suddenly wasn't so much noise because everybody said, oh my gosh, they're enforcing it. So we have good ordinances. We just need to enforce it, which we have not been doing. I want to just show you, I want to talk about the leaf blowers, only because I was all ready for my closing remarks to mention leaf blowers, where I was going to tell you that I want to go on record to support the elimination of the gas-powered leaf blowers. And by the way, which they can do, we also should be having some system, and I've seen it done in many cities, where you can only use them on a Tuesday and a Thursday or a Monday, so that every day you don't have to be subject to waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning because somebody's doing their leaf blowers. There are ways we can curb what I consider to be noise pollution. That includes motorcycles, that includes gas blowers, all these things, which we are not doing enough to do. And so it's just a function of deciding you want to do it, and then do it. And we do have the ordinances to stop the motorcycle noise and things like that, but we need to have active enforcement of the existing laws, and I do believe it's something that we can do, should do, and must do.
We have what you would call a crisis of pollution. Our water's polluted, our ears and environment's polluted by leaf blowers and other things. I think most of you probably have a lawn service, am I correct? They come when they can come. I don't know what kind of coordination can be done where we could do what Mr. Carney suggested. But I think anything that's going to eliminate the noise. They used to make vacuum cleaners without a sound, and people said they're not working, so they added sound. Maybe that's what our problem is, and nobody wants to say it. I don't know. I'd like to talk about the water. We talked about the seawalls. We have an incursion underground also. For those of you who live just next to the bridge coming east, the water's coming up from under the ground. How are we going to stop that? So there are all kinds of issues that we have. We can work on them. But I think it takes a concerted effort of all of us to work on each and every one of them, and we've not done that. We've argued or allowed the developers to come in and impact us. We haven't done very much about that. We just need a concerted effort with the community's input as to what you think should be done. Bringing in experts, of course, but we've got to start working on it now because we're running out of time. So on top of that, I'd also like to say, when it comes to the trees, I was a big proponent of getting rid of the sea grapes. Thank you. Getting rid of them. I'd like to get rid of them.
So I know the theme here is quality of life, but you know what else all these questions have in common? Being a good neighbor, right? It's about being a good neighbor. But if you're not going to be a good neighbor, then we need to step in, right? Then we need to step in. And if you remember, when I ran 6 years ago, and you elected me in 2018, the city couldn't address things like leaf blowers. The city was going through a new city manager every few months. The department heads were flipping over. We were embroiled in lawsuits. We couldn't even begin to think about things like leaf blowers or road noise. But we came in and we stabilized City Hall over the last 6 years. We have a great city manager that's there right now. 3 years, knock on wood, 3 years. All our department heads have rose up through the organization, and the ones where we couldn't do that, we went out and we stole someone from somewhere else, and we brought him in, right? Like Hassan Hajimi. But what I wanted to point out is that you have to get your house in order first. For example, if we're talking about not using single-use plastic, right, you'll never see me with it. Because I'm going to hold us to a standard. I'm not going to do it. So we already have in motion a 3-year plan to move our city to electric leaf blowers, to move our city in probably a 5 to 10 year plan to electric cars. So that's all being presented by Kent Edwards in our long-term green plan, initiative plan. So I think that's really important that we are now able to have those conversations and take care of some concerns for you, the residents.
Okay, the third and final question will be on development. And it's going to be all 9 candidates will answer the same question. So every candidate at this forum has in their campaign literature claimed to be against overdevelopment in Delray Beach. So we have a 2-part question. How do you define overdevelopment? And how do your views on overdevelopment pertain specifically to the Barrier Islands residential communities and East Atlantic Avenue from the Intercoastal to the beach?
In my campaign literature, I talk about overdevelopment as well. We've been in Delray for 15 years. I've seen the meteoric rise of the city. And, you know, we've all benefited from housing values going up. But overdevelopment to me means we're going to lose our charm. And I don't want that to happen. Somebody asked me earlier, my wife and I have moved 15 times. We lived in Australia. We've lived in some great places. My runaway favorite place is here because of the look and the feel of the city. And it makes me absolutely insane when I see the overdevelopment that is happening. And we have to follow the plan that we have. And we have plans. But having gone to the commission meetings now for nearly a year, there's an exception to every rule. I mean, people are just coming to the commission begging for exceptions, and we can't give in to the concessions the way we've been doing it. We just can't do it. We got to draw a tougher line so that our fair city stays the village by the sea. I hate the overdevelopment, and it's also leading to other problems like traffic and congestion. It's dangerous on some of these intersections. Go up to Swinton and Atlantic and try to cross the street there. That's dodgeball. And I don't want to see anybody get hurt because of overdevelopment. I think, you know, we're always going to continue to develop, but we have to put a lens on it where we're thinking about it and thinking about the downstream problems that might occur when we overdevelop. So I feel strongly about that, and I think you're going to hear that from everybody, but we'll see.
I like to talk about sensitive development. We do need development. I think we all depend on it to some degree for our livelihood, for our restaurants, for jobs in the city. But it has to be sensitive. And to me, what overdevelopment is not following the rules. We have a comprehensive plan, and we have local development regulations, which show every parcel of land in the city and how to develop it. That's something that was developed over years and approved in the comprehensive plan that's supposed to last for 25 years and really dictate what we want as a city. And yes, once in a while, a parcel doesn't quite fit the plan, and the developer has to come and ask for a waiver or a change because it may be a triangular property, or it may be up against a tree or another building. So there is flexibility, but there are also rules. And the only things that actually get to the city commission for consideration are the ones that have not been resolved at the local boards. The local boards, whether it's P&Z or planning or SPRAB or historic preservation, are the ones, and those staff who sit down with each and every developer, each and every architect, each and every engineer, and go through the rules, and those plans are adjusted before they ever get to the city commission. And a great number of them pass through the city commission on the consent agenda, meaning there is no controversy. We have very tight regulations. We're considering historic preservation in downtown Atlantic Avenue, which is a big, big question in this debate. And we follow those rules closely that were established by all of you, the citizens, as part of the comprehensive process.
Thank you. So yes, I believe there's too much development. I think we're not going to be Village of the Sea much longer if we continue to grow and grow and grow. How would you feel living on the beach and you want to look at the ocean and there's a building going up? That's not quality of life. We need to put a stop to it. I think the east has been built up. Let's build up to the west now. I think we need to keep this quality of life. And one thing that I think it's important as a candidate, you need to be transparent. If you really look down at at who's running for office, and you will see who is backed by a developer who wants to bring basically sober homes to our city. And I'm so thankful that Ryan and the other commissioners said no to it. So look and make sure you do your detail, because honestly, the developer is the campaign manager is the lobbyist for the developer who wants to bring this to our beautiful city. This is not Fort Lauderdale. This is the city of Delray Beach. In my eyes, we are up here and other cities are down here. And I've worked for numerous cities and I see the difference. This is why I need to be your commission to make sure I make decisions that's going to do good for our residents, because I'm going to make decisions based on passion and what's best for our residents. So yes, there is too much development, and I'm here to make sure our quality of life is not lost. Thank you.
So rather than say overdevelopment, let's say we need to manage our growth responsibly and approve projects that are befitting of our village by the sea and that fit our personality. With that said, we simply need to, we need to look at every single project on its individual merits. Not only what it brings to the table at that moment, but what will that project bring to the table 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when there's another project, how it would tie in with other projects. This involves conversations, and that's where you all come in. I am from the beginning of my campaign, I have been, every word is about collaboration, communication, transparency. When everybody is heard and opinions are heard, great solutions and great opportunities happen. And even when folks are heard and they may not disagree with it, they would probably support it or lean towards working towards it as long as they are heard and they believe that their opinion meant something. So I believe we need to start moving towards managing growth, because the opposite of not growing is stagnant, and we don't want that. We want to continue to be that village by the sea, but make sure we have projects that fit our personality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I moved to Miami a little bit to attend Barry University, and I had to run away, okay? Because when I used to be here in Delray, going to high school, I was like, it's too slow for me. I need to go to Miami. And then I got to Miami, it was just too fast. The traffic was horrendous. And so the reason why I moved back here is because, there was not as much traffic, compared to Miami. And here, it's, definitely as you get older, you want that level of, when you're driving, you're not like, so much anxiety, Okay, as a social worker, I work, as a therapist, as a primary therapist. We don't need that level of anxiety in the city. I do believe that we do need to develop the areas. We have empty lots in the west, so we do need to develop those. And also follow the rules, follow the rules. However, that specific area needs to develop, that's what we need to follow. So I do believe, as far as quality of life is very important to me. So I would definitely advocate for sensible growth. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I ended up running. I always say I tripped, stumbled, and fell into this politics because I ran for city commission after I spent 3 years fighting a 102-unit apartment building that was going to be developed right outside of my single-family neighborhood. And in the process, I learned so much. And one of the things, my card says compatible development that adheres to our zoning. And that's because we do have a plan to grow comfortably. And that's our comprehensive plan. And we have a guide, which is our land development regulations. It's our rule to grow by. And if we follow it, we'll be in good shape. But what happens anytime an applicant comes in front of the city commission, they're doing so because they are looking to go outside of the rules. And that's where you really have to think, what does this bring back to Delray residents? Is it worthwhile? Does it give you something if we are giving them something? And some of these projects are amazing and they contribute greatly to our city, and others are not. I'll tell you one thing I voted no on strongly was the overlay that increased the units allowed from 30 to, I believe, 75, a block and a half off Atlantic Avenue. Immediately thereafter, a gentleman came in with an application, and he's building a project. City staff gave us a presentation, and in that it said, develop to minimum capacity will increase the road traffic by 2,500 cars. Maximum capacity, 5,000 vehicles, 1.5 blocks off Atlantic Avenue. I said no. I don't even see how that works. So there are cases where there are good development and there's bad.
Well, thank you. Let's see if I can get through this time. Water and development goes hand in hand. When you bring in a large development or even a new single home, you're going to affect the processing of how much water we have, how we process it. I like to see, if you don't mind, when you read my card, my second objective is the water treatment plant. I know we have had issues. We also have had issues with the reclaimed water here on the barrier. So water, 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 not a drop to drink. Overdevelopment, that depends on when you got here. If you were just here in the last 10, 20 years, you don't think it's overdeveloped because now you have a beautiful new home. But those who were here 40 or 50 years ago said, oh, those new people, they're just killing our village by the sea. So it all depends on what side of the line you're on. I don't want to say we should have some kind of rules as to who can come and who can't come. Overdevelopment depends on your neighbors. If you see someone putting up a home that's going to block your views. We had that as an issue one time. We can't stop it. I wish I could have influenced the architects, but the newer residents are coming in and they want everything they had up in the Northeast, wherein Delray has always been cottages. We don't have cottages anymore. They're knocking them down and they're building, I call them rectangles. It's either horizontal or it's vertical. But that's the new architecture. Delray has changed tremendously from the time that we were incorporated. Thank you.
Well, I can't argue with that. We were incorporated 100 years ago. We certainly have changed. So let's talk about development. And I actually brought my entire development record printed out on a nice big board for you, which will be right outside this lobby afterwards. I'll be standing next to it, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. The biggest thing that we need to do is we need to be proactive. We need to put things in place. One of my first votes, and Rita, you remind me all the time, send me a very nice email about it, was that I upheld that we were lowering the height on Atlantic Avenue from 4 stories to 3 stories. Not an easy thing to do, by the way. You're going to property owners and you're removing a quarter of their development rights. But we did it as a city, and I upheld that. One of my first votes. We removed modern architecture and Art Deco architecture from being automatically approved. You now have to come to the commission for special approval on that. So we added an extra step so that we start to see different architectural styles. We changed our LDRs so that Atlantic Crossing, which was approved far before my time, but so that Atlantic Crossing would not take, I think there was 53 different conditions put on that project just to even get it from where it was, which was way worse than what we have now, to where it was. But now we've put things in place, green space, setbacks, what they call wedding caking of buildings. We've changed all those LDRs. That can't be built today. And now we're moving a step closer to the Atlantic Historic Overlay District. We had a workshop about that yesterday, and we're talking about different incentives and how to move that forward. And I want to be part of the commission that continues to move that forward. It's all about being proactive. It's not about just saying no. Now, during my time, I've approved 7 significant projects. The 6 years before me, there were 12. They're all listed on that board. So we cut it in half. We cut it in half because we raised the bar of what you can build in Delray. We make it harder and harder because we're saying, hey, it's got to be quality over quantity. That's really important. And by the way, out of the 7 that I approved, 6 of them had workforce housing. When we built a record 274 affordable housing units during my time. And that's important.
To me, overdevelopment is approving projects before the prior projects which you have approved have been constructed so that you truly understand the impact that that development is going to have on your infrastructure. That's something we are not doing now. We're building and building and building. And by the time it's all there, it's going to be way too late. It's going to be way too late. My thought of what, because you also asked how does it really affect the Barrier Island. When I was on the commission, it was back in 2012, the initial seeds of the beach master plan, the overlay, was being developed. And it continued, and I think it was finally approved in 2014 or 15, which made significant improvements, because as I told you, I was anti-mansionization. Now, anti-mansionization doesn't mean people can't build a big house. It means sometimes the lots are such that you really shouldn't be allowed to build a big house. And because we have some awkward lots, especially up in the North Beach area where there's some of the older neighborhoods, and you really shouldn't be allowed to build these monstrosities on small little lots. That's where I was objecting to. So we developed the overlay. We've got this new plan that they're talking about now for finally to be, after 3 years, they're going to be dealing with the setbacks and things such as that to bring it into conformity with other parts of the city, all of which were good ideas. And I think the commission did a great job. I want to just touch one thing on the construction. My problem with construction is how long it takes them to do it. They put their foundation in, and you sometimes watch for weeks before the next step is going. What we need to put in place are rules where there has to be a timely inspection process, if that even means that the developer has to go to a third-party vendor to do the inspections, because they do exist. The city's, you're allowed to do it now. We're allowed to hire a third-party vendor. Well, we should require it if they don't do it within certain times. I voted against the Atlantic Crossing. I would vote against it today. I don't like it. The grid is not there. It's going to be horrible when it's built. Ryan is correct. He did only 7 projects. One of them was a hotel. But of the 6 projects he did, he mentioned the 12 previous. In the 12 previous projects were 550 fewer units than the 6 he approved. So it's not how many projects you do, but what's the density of the projects you're approving.
Okay, folks, final round. Each candidate has 3 minutes to tie up, make his or her closing argument.
That's very true.
And we'll start, I guess, with the third person sitting there. So, Tom, you go first for seat 1.
Oh.
Or did you go first initially? Okay, so we'll go back to Jim. We'll do the first one. First rodeo, folks, first rodeo.
Well, I started first, and I might as well end it first. All right. We have 2 minutes? Is it 2 or 3? Oh, 3? Okay. I have, in my 20 years here in Delray, been an elected official, an appointed official to boards and task forces, and also to be in very many of the not-for-profits. And I'm sure many of you know that the not-for-profits are one of the most important things in Delray, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce or Friends of Delray or Community Greening or Village Academy. We can go on and on. And I've been very much engaged in those. I want to tell you one story that I think sort of illustrates my love for this city and my commitment to this city. I was approached a few years ago by a city commissioner in Boynton Beach who said, we have this parcel on Lake Ida. It's the last undeveloped parcel on Lake Ida, and there's a developer that's trying to build it on it, but the county is putting it up for sale. I said, we will buy it. Delray Beach will buy it. I raised the money, over $100,000, to buy that parcel, and it became part of Delray and is to this day not developed. But I didn't stop there. I then went and worked with the IRC to clean it up, to take out all the invasives and make it a beautiful, beautiful little park area. But then I didn't stop there either, because you can't get there from here. So I wrote a grant to the state to build the bridge and the walkway and the bikeway around it. That went through all the processes, approved by the state with a couple of conditions that the city was asked to come back and respond to. And guess what happened? The city didn't. The city was not organized to do that. We lost about $1 million there, and that land is still the same now, 10 years or so later. So what's the point of that story? The point is that even without an official position, I was able to get things done in Delray, and where I failed was to get over that last hump that the city really had to be able to finish the job. And so I'm all about outcomes and finishes. It's not just saving money, which is really, really important, but as I think we've also all said tonight, it's timeliness. You have to get done in time to satisfy the citizens and to keep the costs down in the activity. We were going to do a water plant for $100 million 10 years ago. It's $250 million now. We have to have somebody that has that experience in the urban environment as well as the business environment to bring in projects on time and on budget. Thank you all very much. Be glad to talk with you afterwards.
Thank you. Well, again, when you go vote, just think of the song, Captain and Tennille, Muskrat Love. You will not forget my name, Tennille DeCoste. My parents love them. So I feel like, well, actually I don't feel, I know I'm the better candidate because having experience working for different municipalities is so important. You can't just have that one mindset of Delray. No, what is Boynton Beach doing? We don't have pop-up permits here. We do in Boynton. There's so many different things that we can do that we are not doing here that I have the experience and knowledge that I can bring here. Not only that, I do have a master's degree in human resources, a bachelor's in public administration, and I am certified for employment law by Cornell University. So I'm educated, I'm experienced, and the biggest thing about me that it's very important for every candidate, I'm passionate. I've been serving for 22 years. My opponent talks about being committed. If you were committed, why did you lose your seat within 6 months? The residents put you in that seat and you decided to run against a woman, which was a strong woman, and you lost your seat within 6 months. Being committed is finishing your term for 3 years and then run for another seat. That's what commitment is. I am committed to serving the public. That's all I've been doing for 22 years. I love serving, and not only that, I'm in with the nonprofits. I'm actually with the nonprofits teaching our future residents, our future city managers, how to read, how to write, how to get ready for the real world, which is extremely important because if the parents aren't doing it, I have to step in and do it. And that's why I'm receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award to fight for teachers and education and our teachers. I ask you, I beg you to please give me your support. I am the one with the experience. We need somebody with a fresh look. Not just a fresh look, somebody that's not going to make promises that aren't going to kept. And you're talking about moving stuff fast. Within 6 months of being hired at the city of Boynton Beach, I saved them $1.4 million, did a career field, filled 158 vacancies, also did a study for a market study to make sure we're paying our employees correctly, and also updated about 150 policies within 6 months. Imagine what I'll do for you as your commissioner. The biggest thing that's important is partnerships. I know all the county commissioners, been endorsed by most of them, know everybody on the state and federal level. You need somebody that has the experience, has the relationships, and also has the passion. Delray saved my life. It's time for me to give back, because if it wasn't for Delray, I don't know where I would be. When you go vote, please vote for Tennille DeCoste for Delray Beach Seat 1, and plus my son survived the Parkland shooting. I don't want any of you guys, your grandchildren, your children, to go through what I went through. So thank you. Vote for Tennille DeCoste, Seat 1.
I don't usually use notes when I'm speaking, but there's so many big issues that we've been talking about today, and I want to make sure you all know where I stand on these issues so that you can make an informed decision when you go to vote. First thing I want to do is talk about the noise issue that was brought up earlier. I sit on the police advisory board in town, and I'll bring that up at the next board meeting with the chief and see if we can bring some action to try to fix that stuff up. You probably have noticed the police have been out on Atlantic Avenue over the past 3 or 4 weeks pulling over trucks, because that had gotten out of hand. And that came up at a police advisory board meeting. We brought it to the chief, and they're taking action on that. I think we can do the same with the noise. A lot of those cars and motorcycles had illegal modifications done to them. Now, I come out of New York State. We have this thing called inspections, and that stuff gets picked up. We don't do that here. All you people from Syracuse are nodding away, yeah. So 3 days ago, the Sun Sentinel endorsed me. That was a milestone for me as a brand new candidate. You almost never get an endorsement, and they endorsed me, and they said a couple of things. They said that my business skills would be unique and could really add to the commission. They said I'm going to be good at strategic planning, which you have to be when you're running big multinational companies. I have a track record of getting things done. And lastly, I'm really used to working with big billion-dollar budgets, so the Delray budget does not frighten me. I'm good with numbers. I'll find efficiencies in that budget, I promise you that. The things that are important to me, we've talked about overdevelopment, so I'll leave that one alone. We have to fix our traffic and congestion in downtown Delray. We got to get going on that. We got to figure it out. It's too crowded and it's dangerous. We also have a parking issue downtown. There is some technology that's coming in the future where you'll be able to use your smartphone and you'll know where spots are available. I think that's a good step, but it isn't getting us to where we need to be, so I want to work on that. You heard a little bit about the water treatment plant. Our water treatment plant is 62 years old. 62 years old. We let that go way too long. That's something the commission should have been on years and years and years ago, and Jim talked about the budget. The budget's doubled from where we were 2 years ago. And that's one of these big, chunky monkey projects that's going to have to get done. It's going to take time. It's going to involve a lot of vendors. It's going to involve big budgets. And we got to make sure the timeline stays true. And I'll be all over that and make sure that that happens for you. Lastly, I've been asked about the golf course, and that hasn't come up today. I'm a golfer. I really stink, but I like it. I've been out to our golf course. It's in really bad shape. It's a shame. That should be another jewel for Delray Beach. So I'm in favor of going after that golf course and figuring it out. But I'll also tell you my stance on it. I don't want to give away the green space. I don't want a 500-room hotel out there. I don't. Now, it's always a balance because sometimes those things can be used to pay for the improvements. But we got to find better ways to just get that done and preserve that green space, and that's what I'll be all about. My name is Tom Markert. I'm fresh. I'm not in anybody's pockets, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Again, Inez Barthélemy for Seat 3. I am the only candidate in this race that is not being endorsed by either side of Delray. I am the independent candidate. As you read, it's like one side. It's always two sides in Delray, the mayor's sides and the other sides of Delray, and which is one of the reasons why I was being pressured to get out of the race. And I do feel that, you know, a commissioner needs to represent all of Delray, all of the residents of the city. Because you live here on the east, but when you're going to your house, you have to get off 95. You have to drive through the northwest and the southwest area. So if your neighbors are not doing well, right, so that should worry you at night. Like I said, I am a volunteer with the police department, and what we do, we patrol the streets. We go on the golf cart, and we ride to the beach, we park, and we go and we just look around what's going on. Sometimes we find homeless, okay? Homeless individuals sleeping under the bushes, right? So we do need to address housing. Housing is a major issue in the city, and it is a national crisis. Just recently, a few months ago, I traveled to a conference in Philadelphia, and I met this senior, and she was using 70% of her income to pay for rent, right? And this is happening right here in the city as well. So we do have individuals in the city who they have to choose whether, you know, they pay their bills or feed their children. And I thank God for organizations like Eat Better, Live Better, which I am an advisory board member, and I serve with that organization to make sure that we alleviate the plight and the suffering of those who live in this community. So as a social worker, I bring another perspective where people would say, hey, you know, we don't want to bring this type of housing because in the Northwest and Southwest, the average income is $35,000 a year. You cannot find housing. You cannot even rent an apartment with that. So I would have to make the decision, okay, do I want the homeless to be sleeping under the bushes or give them a place to lay their heads at night, keep them safe? I was looking at different options. In Vero Beach, they have like a bus where they call it Dignity Bus, when it's so cold out there, you know, they can actually sleep in the bus. We don't have enough shelters in this county. So it is up to us who are doing better to take care of those who are less fortunate because they're right down the street from us. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here. And I will say that this organization is a great contributor to the city, both financially through our tax base and also, you know, through all the efforts the individuals in this organization make. I've worked with Bill, I've worked with Hal, I've worked with Ned, and it's been a pleasure. So I just want to say thank you so much for having us. Julie Casal, I'm endorsed by the Sun Sentinel and the Palm Beach Post. The Post said that I would be the best candidate to handle overdevelopment and our budget, which is in excess of $250 million. I just want to go through some of the things when I served you, some of the accomplishments that I was able to obtain with the help of this organization. We implemented a coastal conservation plan over the beach to protect it. I was so happy to champion that and work with this group. The beach is our economic driver. It's our source of pleasure and recreation, and it was important to me. I live here with my family, and I want to live here forever to protect our beach. Additionally, 2 polystyrene ordinances, a beach bucket program, which was Hal's brilliant idea. I also worked on the overgrown home project with Bill and Ned. Applause, I'm waiting for those. It was super popular earlier, so I thought I'd throw that in, and let me look through my list. A lot of things, but one of the things when I ran because I was concerned about development, and then when I got into office, I started noticing financial things. I studied 2 reports and realized that we probably had a problem with our payroll. Asked for an audit across the board. The commission gave consensus. The audit was performed, found we were losing money, and implemented changes so that we would save money. I also, during a conversation with our public works director, discovered that Atlantic Crossing owed the city taxpayers about $625,000 that had been overlooked for a period of time. So during a commission meeting, an annual meeting, I asked for the city manager to implement the position of a contract manager, because we have so many contracts in the city and people owe us money, but oftentimes we were not collecting it. It was getting overlooked. So I am very much interested in serving you, and I hope that you will consider me on March 19th. My card is out on the table. Please take it and call me if you have any questions whatsoever. I would love to earn your vote, and I think I will serve you well. Thank you.
Thank you. As I mentioned, I am a first-time candidate, and we all want to move forward. And I think it's very important to point out that I am the only candidate in Seat 3 that has not run before. My other opponents have run, and the voters have spoken, and they have lost. I also believe that my education, I hold a degree in human services. I also hold a certificate in construction project manager from NYU. I do believe that asset will bring a tremendous amount to the water treatment plant, because I did have the luxury of being a subforeman on a Newtown Creek water treatment plant, and I am concerned about the milestone dates and the costs of that. So I do look forward to being your commissioner. The one thing I will promise you is that I will never, ever make a decision without hearing from everybody. If I have not heard from everybody or spoken to as many people as possible, if I hear one person that said, I haven't had a chance, I will not vote until I know everything, because that I will set as a priority. My background right now, currently I serve as the chair of a nonprofit where we serve approximately 25,000 people in any given year. I believe that's what we're missing, this combination of maybe some compassion, understanding, and education at the same time. And I want to bring that to the dais as well. We've already seen an incredible change in tone. And with that change in tone, in a very productive way, projects are moving. Decisions are being made without contention. The one thing I learned, too, is when questions are asked of the commission, have you had ex parte communications? I always believed that limited you. Now I'm looking and listening as I go to commission meetings. I actually believe when I hear a commissioner answer the question, yes, I have had ex parte. I spoke with Joe, I spoke with Bill, I spoke to this person. That's very important. When I hear commissioners say, no, I haven't spoken, that means you're not informed. You need to be informed on every decision that is made. So please, I ask you, as a first-time candidate, I am the fresh voice. I am the fresh set of eyes. I am the change that we want. I am moving forward, and we will move forward. So on March 19th, I respectfully and humbly request that you vote for Nick Coppola for Seat 3. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate that, Nick, because one of the complaints I get now from this last year is, where's the drama? Right? Where are the headlines?
So true.
You might have noticed a theme from my opponent here, Tom. Back in 2011, back in 2012, we thought about doing this. I wanted to do this. Tom hasn't been here for 10 years. I haven't seen Tom. I haven't had a conversation with him. We had the CRA that was taken over, the independent CRA. He wasn't there. I fought that. Old School Square was kicked out. He was the only mayor not to sign the letter that all living mayors signed, providing supporting guidance during that time. But I was there. I was fighting it. A few years ago, we all went through something together. While I appreciate it, I only have 3 minutes. What did we all go through together a few years ago?
COVID.
The pandemic. You know, I was the only former mayor that didn't reach out, didn't check in, wasn't out giving out food with us, right? Where's he been for 10 years? The only time I've seen Tom is when he's coming in front of us asking for waivers for his development clients. That's it. And by the way, I'm not going to beat them up. Some of them are good. I voted for some of them. Some of them are good. Some, not so much. The ones that made it to me. Some died at the boards before me. Those were the bad ones. Here's my question to you. What does a mayor look like? Not physically. What does your mayor, a Village by the Sea, look like? Are they endorsed? I'm the most endorsed candidate to ever run for mayor. I'm not going to go through them. I would need 5 minutes. Are they experienced? I'm the most experienced candidate to ever run for mayor. I know, Nick. I'm young, but 7 years on Pineapple Grove, 6 years on the DDA, 6 years as your city commissioner, 6 years on the CRA. Does a mayor know all of our principals' names? Ms. Smith, Ms. Dixon. Walk onto any field, whether it's the Delray Rocks or the Delray Rush, and the coaches know them and the kids know them. Can they walk into any nonprofit, and that nonprofit has a story about how Commissioner Boylston stood up for them and fought for them and supported them? Can he walk into any corner, any neighborhood in this city, and put down a list like I did for you guys tonight and say, hey, here are the things we did together in the last 6 years? I can do that because I've been here. We've been working together. I want to continue working together. I want to continue that vibe we have at City Hall right now, the stability we have. So if you're looking for a mayor that is, and I love that word, compassionate, collaborative, and accessible, and has a track record of delivering, not talking the talk, walking the walk for a decade, vote Boylston for mayor this March. Thank you.
I was a member of the Old School Square board. I loved Old School Square. I was sorry that what happened, but I did not sign the letter because I have clients that appear in front of the commission, and I was not on the commission. And it was not it would be fair to my clients to sign a letter and then put me at ill with them. And of course, it was very easy for all the other ones who signed it because they're all retired. And by the way, not all the mayors signed. I can tell you, Doak didn't sign, Woody didn't sign, there's others that didn't sign. So you said all, and I'm just going to say not all. You know, I'm not the most polished. I'm not the marketing guy. I'm just a very straight guy, a straightforward guy that comes in front of you and tells you what I think and how I think we can get things done. You know, I spent 8 years on the Housing Authority, 7 of those years as its chairman. When I took it over, it was a failing agency. I turned it around to a high-performing agency. It still is, thank you. I was on the Community Redevelopment Agency where for 7 years, where we did Pineapple Grove Main Street. I think that was pretty good. And you know, and then I got the opportunity to serve on the commission. But for the last 10 years, and someone said, geez, Tom, you know, you should have got on the board. You should have done this. You know, when you've already been a mayor or a commissioner, to really take somebody else's opportunity to sit on a board and do something is really, really arrogant. And I really believed I wanted more people to get involved in the process than fewer. And sure, I could have got appointed, but then what? I took somebody else's spot who was trying to work their way into the system. So no, I didn't. But I was involved with other things in the city. I was certainly involved with my homeowner association. I've been involved with the Elks. I've been involved with the Kiwanis. I've been involved in a lot of civic organizations here in Delray Beach. But let me tell you, I am the most qualified in this race. And I'm just going to, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it now. You know, because we want to talk about experience. Because, you know, we talk about 2012. Let's talk about 2012, 2013. We've had a population increase of 10%. Our budget has gone up 133%. So let that soak in against a 37% cost of living increase, 133%. Your taxes, and I got my own chart here, by the way. Your real taxes under Ryan, it's not as big as yours out here, but the real taxes have gone up 34.75% in real terms. So Brian will say, well, your house is appreciated. Why should the city take advantage of your house appreciating? Why should they take your appreciation away from you? That's just unbelievable. And they justify it by saying, well, you know, the property value went up. So I have a background in finance. I have a background in tax-exempt bonds. I have a background in law. So let me tell you what the Palm Beach Post said. Carney is knowledgeable enough on city budgets, public finance, tax-exempt bond financing to provide direction in overseeing city spending and monitoring the city's ongoing water treatment plant, police headquarters, fire station, and park improvement projects. Sun Sentinel. We recommend Tom Carney, an attorney, public finance expert, and self-described numbered person. He is a vocal critic of overdevelopment and overspending, and his expertise on tax and finance matters will be invaluable on a commission that is far too little of it. Well, Tom Carney, if you want your budgets under control, you want your taxes under control, you want your spending under control, and you want someone who can actually read a contract, Tom Carney.
I am your rose between two thorns.
I love it. That was funny.
Thank you. I really feel like I'm the woman of the hour because this kind of is what we've unfortunately come to have on our commission. But I'm not going to waste my precious 3 minutes. I'm going to get through this and I'm going to be happy and make you happy because I'm the last one. I'm the person between you and the door. And thank you for your respect tonight. I'd like to thank the BPOA. I've looked forward to this. I have a confession. I had a beautiful coat that portrayed the ocean. And when I win and I'm your mayor, I'm going to come back and I'm going to model it for you. I commend you because you're the oldest homeowners organization in the city. You've been at it, I think, since the 1950s. I don't know the exact date. So you've been self-appointed, and I thank you, for the care and protection of our barrier island, our beaches, and our oceans, because it doesn't just stop there. So I'd just like to thank you for that. I'm your environmentalist candidate. Water issues, tree issues, noise pollution, all of those will happen if we all work together in love and kindness and try to resolve our problems. I still decry the new architecture. I had nothing to do with it. All of a sudden it was here. I apologize if some of you are owners of those. I know if you're allowed to do something, you will do it. I would also if I could. I'm losing my beauty. We must all work together to reserve and preserve not only our community, but our planet. And if we don't start working to do the kinds of things we need to do, we're going to lose all of it. I am a hard worker. I worked hard for 6 years. Those of you who know me know that I was always accessible. My office door will always be open to you to resolve any issues, and I'm hoping that you will take advantage of that trait of mine, because I do like people. I love working and resolving issues. I'll work tirelessly to make Delray a beautiful city by the sea and the best place on earth to be the type of community. Oh, I didn't do it. So thank you very much. Vote Johnson for mayor.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to be acrimonious about my opponents. What I will say is that Old School Square, please call me. I'd love to discuss the unaccountability that was going on. It's your taxpayer money, and I tried to be accountable for it. Now, maybe I didn't do it right again. Now I've got to stop. I'd like to say, I only want one endorsement, and that's your vote. Thank you.
This concludes the 12th BPOA Candidate Forum. I hope you all found it informative, and I thank all of the candidates for showing up. Us.
Got a little tense.
A little.
You think?
Yeah.
I
Are we
do.
the only ones who don't attack his people?
I
And not
think we do.
racist?
I think we do a better job of that. You went to Syracuse? Oh, you went to St. Lawrence? No way. You know, it's funny. I was at another meet and greet at somebody's house about 5 days ago. They did.
What year were they, you know?
Well, they were around. My wife got out in '82 and I got out in '81, and it was around that time frame. And the woman actually dated.
Your wife went to St. Lawrence too?
Yeah.
Is she here?
She's not here. She's in Boston with her mom right now. She was the president of Pi Phi.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I was the president of Beta. Got to play ball there. It was good.
Yeah, that's great.
It was good.
I graduated in '88.
Ah, that's so funny. That's so
I
funny.
was reading your bio, and I was like, oh.
I know, it's rare. Thanks, man. Got a little testy there.
Good job.
Hi, Dave. We were in Canada. We were there from 96 to 2001. Were you really? Did you really? Oh, I bet we met. I bet we met.
We played Who Do You Know, We Know.
Absolutely. Because you probably knew Malcolm Spry, who was my predecessor. Did not know him.
No, I was only there those years. So
Wow.
and then I moved on to Europe.
They sent me to Australia.
Pardon me?
They sent me to Australia, which
And New Zealand.
is not a bad assignment, by the
I
way.
used to live in New Zealand.
Did you really? How did you?
Wellington. That's like I want to. I mean, it's just the best. I did spend a lot of time in Australia too.
Yeah. Oh, that was my favorite assignment. My wife would say to this day, though, her favorite place was Toronto. Our offices were out in Markham, but we bought a house down in Lawrence Park, so in the city. I wish I'd kept that house. Yeah. Oh. Well, Nielsen didn't want us to buy a house, but there were no rentals. When we got there was like no option to rent. So we're just finding out we went to the same school.
Yeah, we went to the same college. St. Lawrence University in upstate New York. I know. I read that about him and I was like, oh my God, he's my candidate.
It's funny. It's such a small school.
Well, good luck.
Great to meet you.
You did great.
Thank you. It was good. You too. That's funny. See you guys.
You did a great job. You really did a great job.
I tried.
Really. You get great experience. I'm very excited.
I didn't want those guys to do what they did. I don't like it.
I don't like it either. It's unfortunate, but it's like the flavor of maybe you know my friend Maureen O'Connell? She's like regard, like head of the
I know her very well.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's one of my
Do you have a card?
no. But I'll set do you have a card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's an old one, but it works.
Yeah. All right. This is your card, all right.
Yeah, I'm the president.
Of Palm Beach County.
Nationally. Yeah, I'm a national president. You are? You're kidding. My son is a supervisory special agent. He's in D.C. He's the FBI's liaison to the CIA. And his wife is a supervisory special agent. She does white collar. My brother-in-law is the ASAC in the WFO. And I'm actually going to D.C. Got a meeting with the director on the weekend.
Well, I left